Well, good morning, my fellow Zenites. Did you check your Pulse Zen wallet balance this morning with your coffee? We're still living in the tumultuous world of crypto land, and the one certainty in all this chaos is that your Pulse Zen wallet balance went up this morning. As I've been tweeting all last week, I did say the contagion from the collapse of FTX was about to continue, with hundreds of companies going bankrupt or about to declare bankruptcy on the back of the FTX exchange imploding. One of the biggest ones is another exchange that was looking for a $1 billion loan that has to be signed off today, or it too is likely to collapse. Hence, we see this huge sell-off in crypto this morning. Of course, there are those of you that were in PulseZen that are no longer in PulseZen, and you've missed the safe harbor option of being in a protocol that pays you dividends, trustless yield, whether the price goes up or down. The basic psychology of investing, and please listen to this, is you buy when the candles are red and you sell when the candles are green. Be greedy whilst other people are fearful. These are two adages of self-made millionaires in the crypto game, and you would be wise to heed them. So going back to the catalyst for all of this, I don't understand how it is that Sam managed to convince the likes of Sequoia and SoftBank and Temasek, the East Sovereign Fund of Singapore, to invest in him and his company. Look, a couple of things. His co-partner in FTX is a guy called Gary Wang. Now, I've just mentioned Sequoia. Sequoia put a huge valuation on Sam's ideas and gave him lots of money. And on the back of their name, Sequoia, everybody thought, well, if Sequoia are in, then we should be as well. And they scrambled to give Sam money with hardly any due diligence, clearly, because if they had done any due diligence, first of all, Gary Wang is a board member. He's an advisor for Sequoia Capital. And if you actually go onto their website, you can see a picture of all the board advisors. And if you look at Gary Wang's picture, it's a picture of his back. There is nothing about this guy on the internet at all, and there are no pictures of him. We don't know what his background is, but he apparently is the chief technical officer of FTX and no history whatsoever. And if you go down the list, we have Dan Friedberg. Now, Dan Friedberg, I think his role was that of regulatory compliance, which is an absolute joke, because if you Google Dan Friedman, he comes up in association with a poker site called Ultimate Bets. And I know all about this as a former poker player myself. Ultimate Bets had a back door, and they were able to see the hands of all the poker players. Basically, it was cheating, and they made millions and millions of dollars. Dan Friedberg was involved in that company. You would think that Sequoia would know that. Well, I mean, they should have known that because Gary Wang was one of their advisors. So then there was Caroline Ellison. Caroline Ellison was the young girl running Alameda, an exchange where they are called Alameda Research. And basically all they were doing was they were a betting shop. And boy, did she get the bets wrong. But let's not blame her. She's a very young girl who 2 years prior was involved in risk management for Credit Suisse. Again, that might be a red flag. She lists her hobby, by the way, her hobbies, as reading Harry Potter. And she is a big proponent of taking illicit drugs in order to be able to operate like a superhuman. Is that a red flag or not? Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, one of the things about all this as well is that A lot of people don't seem to understand how Sam made his money in the first place. Well, I do. I don't have any proof, but I can tell you this. I used to be based in Hong Kong. Don't forget, my financial career ended, my long financial career ended before most of you were born listening to this chat this morning. So listen up. I was based in Hong Kong, and at that time, there was a thing called the kimchi premium. Now, kimchi is a lovely dish made in South Korea. And the kimchi premium is basically very simple to understand. Because the South Koreans are a highly regulated people, there was very few opportunities to invest in products which gave high risk but high yield. Bitcoin was one of those products. And as such, the demand for Bitcoin in South Korea was far higher than in most countries in the world. Vis-a-vis, the price of Bitcoin on those exchanges was higher than most other exchanges, but not many people could take advantage of that, except that in Hong Kong, there used to be queues of people at about 7 o'clock in the morning every day outside the Bitcoin ATM machines. One of the first Bitcoin ATM machines was in Hong Kong, by the way. I remember even paying 1 Bitcoin to watch a dancing robot perform. A dancing robot that did a dance after you deposited 1 Bitcoin. How crazy is that? That's probably the most expensive thing that I've done with Bitcoin. Anyway, I digress. People would withdraw the Bitcoin from the ATM, the Bitcoin machines, and then they would get on the Kimchi Express at 9:30 a.m. from the airport in Hong Kong to go to the airport in Seoul. Why? Because the premium was so much, the arbitrage opportunity was vast. And I'm pretty sure, although I do not have the proof, that Sam Bankman-Fried, Sam No Bank Fraudman, was on those planes nearly every single day. Now, where he got his seed capital from in the first place, well, that I do not know. But going on, you know, there are people now who are coming up with all sorts of amazing conspiracy theories. I mean, did you know, for example, that Sam's parents are both professors of law specializing in taxation, and they are huge donors to the Democratic Party? Their specialization of the specialization of tax is to do with taxation of startup companies in Silicon Valley specifically. And they are advisors to the government. That's kind of interesting. And then there is Caroline Ellison, the young girl we just mentioned before, you know, the one that reads Harry Potter. Her father, Glenn Ellison, was actually Gary Gensler's boss. The connections here are mind-boggling, but I'll leave that particular story for other people to handle, because what we're interested in is what's happening to the crypto world, and in particular, how PulseZen can save you. Well, here's why. You should know by now that PulseZen's performance is not dependent on the price. You're only interested in the price if you're trying to sell. Why would you be trying to sell in a bear market? It just doesn't make any sense. We've seen a sell-off, not much, but a bit of a sell-off in the price of PulseZen this morning. Highly unsurprising considering how people use their dinosaur brain, their emotional brain, when looking at investments, when you should be using your logic brain in the first place. But anyway, we are so lucky that the protocol has this compounding reward system for every transaction, whether it's a buy or a sell. So everybody who sold PulseZen, we thank you for your service, because everybody got more PulseZen in their wallet because of it. And then as we go forward and we get out of this mess, and we will get out of this mess, sure, there may be more crypto regulation, more on that in a minute. But the fact of the matter is, we will be in a much safer place with regard to decentralized finance, because all finance is all based in trust. You trust the third parties to look after your money with every single transaction. If you want a loan or a mortgage, you have to go to a bank and you have to trust that the bank isn't going to go bankrupt. If you want to send money around the world, you either use your bank transfer system or something like a money transmitter like Western Union. The thing there is that you are interacting with a third person. And because of that, you necessarily have to have trust in that third party, which is basically a human being at the end of the day. With decentralized finance, the premise is that you are interacting not with a third party person, but you're interacting with code. Now, notwithstanding, there are going to be bad actors that are in decentralized finance, because ultimately all the money that's been lost in DeFi specifically has been caused not by the code, but by bad actors. So doing your own research into where you're going to put your hard-earned dosh is very, very important. You need to look at the founder. You need to look at the governance. You need to look at the history. You need to understand basically what the code is doing. And you do that by going to the website, reading the white paper, and going on to the chat forums like PZEN official on Telegram. That's t.me/PZEN official. And then you have to make up your own mind. If you watched the last live broadcast, I gave you some analogies of how that all works. Anyway, going on, where are we today? We are seeing crypto on the cliff edge. It is very likely that we see a huge drop in crypto prices across the board this week. In a few hours' time, we're probably going to know whether Genesis Trading has managed to secure the 1 billion loan. If they do, which I highly think that they won't, but if they did, I think we see a huge rally. But if, as the market suspects that they don't, that's another exchange that's going to go down the pan. Losing confidence of your average person in crypto, and the adoption rate is going to slow down for a while, because it doesn't matter what you think of the crypto system. The financial system that we all live in is far, 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 far worse. Look, the system is designed through taxation more than anything else. Remember I said about the Sam's parents? They're tax advisors to the government. And so the thing is, the system is designed to keep the wealthy wealthy and the poor poor. And it's getting worse. The wealth gap between the haves and the have-nots is huge. It's bigger now than it has been in recent times. And if you go back in history, whenever that wealth gap has been so great, the end result has always been a great reset. Basically, a revolution takes place. Now, it's going to happen. We're already seeing it around the world already. People are waking up to the fact that they're not quite sure exactly what it is, but they know that something is wrong. And the savior in all of this is not centralized finance, it's DeFi, decentralized finance. And the premise of decentralized finance will endure. And the promise of it is that you are going to choose to take control of your money through self-custody, and we cut out the middleman. Go and watch yesterday's broadcast if you don't understand the difference between regular finance, traditional finance, centralized finance, and decentralized finance. It's critical that you understand what this is all about. Whew. Well, there's my big rant for this morning. The basic thing is here. We're seeing huge sell-offs in the broad crypto market. It is likely to get worse. We shall wait and see. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody can predict what's going to happen next week, in a year's time, certainly not in 15 years' time. We don't even know what's going to happen this afternoon. But what is for sure, if you are in the opportunity that is PZEN, and if you understand the power of compounding interest, and you take a long-term view, then there is no doubt that you've probably chosen one of the best protocols that ever will be on the blockchain. And my final rant this morning is about the blockchain. You see, the United States, through the Constitution, protects your privacy. People are not allowed to poke around in your financial history. It's an inalienable right that your finances are your own and they should remain private. Now, with the blockchain, once people begin to understand that all transactions are recorded and anybody can look on Etherscan to look at any wallet address and then look through their entire history. And that's fine. The transparency is what it's supposed to be. But I, for one, do not like the idea of exposing people's wallet addresses. I mean, if you do it yourself, either intentionally or unintentionally, well, that's on you. But I don't like the idea of people exposing other people's wallets and saying, oh, look how much money he's got and look where it went, and blah, blah, blah. It's not your business. It's their business. And so for me, particularly on the Telegram chat, if you want to go and watch other people's money, you can, as a hobby, fine. But please don't post individual addresses on the forum. It's not a great idea. Now, the interesting thing going forward is that there is probably going to be more regulation coming out. There's no doubt about it. Sleepy Joe Biden has already said that he's made a call about this to create a better regulatory framework for cryptocurrency. And in some ways, that's not a bad thing. But I do think that we all have to stand up and realize that we're under attack with regard to privacy and regard to being in control of our own money, the self-custody, the promise of decentralized finance. So pay attention. And one of the things you should be paying attention to is that what we do need some kind of system in play with decentralized finance, because it is too easy for people to put their money into a token which they know absolutely nothing about. Your average person doesn't even understand what cryptocurrency is. They see it as a lottery game. They think, oh, I'll put $50 in and come out with $1 million tomorrow. And then all of a sudden they lose their money and they wonder why. You have to do your own research. That's why I keep stressing. You've got to educate yourself. You've got to understand what the risks are. But also, there should be a self-regulated forum whereby every token listed is graded in a self-regulatory way. People that know should examine every facet of a token that comes onto the blockchain and give it some kind of rating, so that at least for newbies, you can come along, you can say, okay, that coin is red. Maybe I shouldn't invest in that, but I'll have a look at it anyway. Or this token has a green color coding, so it's passed a series of tests. As it has reached a certain level of safety, security, like the code is audited, the team is known, things like that. This has to be the way forward for DeFi to continue. I mean, DeFi is not going away. It doesn't matter how much regulation they throw at it. Decentralized finance is immutable. It's on the blockchain. The blockchain cannot be shut down. You can't, just like you can't shut down the internet. You can regulate the internet for sure. And if you look what's happened with the internet as we've gone along, and again, I'm speaking from vast experience. I was born before the internet even came into play. We used to run an entire banking system on ledgers. Written ledgers. Yes, I am that old. I even remember what dial-up modems sound like. I'm pretty sure that the majority of the population have no clue, even though, even those of you that have been in crypto over a long time. So we're still a nascent industry, and DeFi is not going away. We have the regulations coming in. The internet changed when basically economies of scale means that there are very few companies that are in control of a huge amount of data, which is then the target of authorities. And they are the ones that are controlling the internet. And so even now, you know, your average internet user has no idea about the data that they're giving away to the government. It will be the same for centralized finance. Eventually, I mean, look, even Coinbase, we know that Coinbase could shut your account down tomorrow at behest of said governments. That was never the premise of decentralized finance. And we will get around it. We will succeed because decentralized finance, as I said, cannot be shut down, regardless of what the governments want to do. So I've got on long enough. I've ranted long enough. Thank you so much for listening. And I suggest that you subscribe. Go and follow me on Twitter, because I really do speak the truth in DeFi. I really am a genuine old guy. I was a Bitcoin Foundation member. I was one of the people that took advantage of the kimchi premium, having been based in Hong Kong for a while, just like Sam did. We may have even been on the same airplane. Who knows? So I'll just say hello to a few people and we'll wrap this up. Metro 9, good morning to you. We do know is our PZEN tokens will go up. Yes, I think Metro 9 gets it. Hexagon says, yes, I remember dial-up. Yeah, remember that noise? Black Eagle, you guys don't use dial-up. No, Black Eagle was saying that was the only way forward. Okay, and he's saying that Black Eagle's then saying he's using Fortran to connect to chat. Who else is here today? Mac Lee A. What does it say? I think his connections gave him access. The world runs around who you know. It has and always has been like that. That's exactly right. And that is the premise of and the promise of decentralized finance. It is the ultimate reset tool. It is the ultimate redistribution of wealth tool. Things are changing. We are at a confluence in history that has never been before. And that is where we have technology, where it is today, and the political scenario that we see around the world. Hello to Jake Kays. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And Hexagon, good morning to you. Okay, I'm going to end the broadcast here now, or it turns into another hour session. And I know the attention span of the average person is about 30 seconds, so I probably lost you 5.5 minutes ago. I'm Conrad Zen, former Bitcoin Foundation member, evangelist for PZEN. Have a fantastic day. Watch out for tomorrow's broadcast as we reveal the fireworks that happened over the previous 24 hours and our predictions about what's going to happen in the next 24 hours. Bye for now.